Good morning. Another day on the road of life here. And this morning I'm thinking about the ways that we look at the world. You know, at my job, recently I've changed jobs. So at my job, I happened to meet a person who also has a show on Blog Talk Radio. Monday nights at 6 o'clock, Iggy and I do a Blog Talk Radio show on With Insights. There's my little plug. But this person also has a radio show on Blog Talk, only they're called the Debunker Boys. And they take on the metaphysical and spiritual community and try to disprove some of our, I guess you could call them sacred cows, orbs, psychics, the spirit work that we do sometimes, energy healing and things like that. And as I was speaking more to this person, his name's Robert, you know, it comes out that he's got his own beliefs, you know, about energy and the afterlife and so on and so forth. So it's not like there's a void there, you know, where he doesn't think that there exists nothing, you know, that nothing exists beyond what we can measure with instruments. And I'm going to be on his show tomorrow, as I mentioned. So it got me considering just what it is that reality is and how we perceive it. We're all kind of filters for the reality that we want to see. We more or less choose the tools that we're going to use to measure that reality by. Some people measure it with whatever they can see, feel, taste, touch, hear, and conceive with their rational minds. If it doesn't make sense outside of the rational mind, they discard it as nonsense or, you know, just wishful thinking. Some of us go entirely the other direction and just accept everything that we think, feel, hear, you know, believe that we think, feel, and hear. And, you know, it's all spiritual energy. It's all metaphysical. I'm somewhere in between. I believe that we should investigate what we experience. But I also know that spiritual experiences and religious experiences cannot be measured. You can measure brain activity. You can use other tools to try to understand what's going on in the human mind when that happens, when we have those types of experiences. But you cannot put it in a test tube. You cannot put it under a microscope. You cannot quantify it on a chart. It simply is what it is. It's this objective experience, and it's open to interpretation by the individual having that experience. I've had profound experiences that when I try to explain them and the conditions leading up to them and what caused them in my mind, it sounds ridiculous. It doesn't translate. I used to be a part of a group called the Universists, back before I got into, you know, the indigenous spirituality and the metaphysical community that I'm involved in now. Universism was a flash in the pan, so I don't blame you if you've never heard of it. But it was an attempt to bring together under one umbrella several different systems of belief, say deists, transcendentalists, pantheists, atheists, and agnostics. Kind of a real mixed bag there. And my experience with that group proved to me that people who use the scientific method as their sole way of gauging reality can be just as brutal as people who use only the Bible and hit you over the head with it. Those people will be just as narrow-minded about anything that you present outside of their construct of what constitutes reality as the most faith-based fundamentalist you can think of. In fact, my experience with that group kind of burned me out for a while. I had to leave. I had to just take some time off from all of that. So, if you want to believe that there are unicorns on the moon who are invisible, that we can pray to, and that they affect our lives, who am I to say you're wrong? If you don't try to impose that belief on me, then go for it. Believe that if it makes you a better person, helps you deal with life, and makes sense to you, that's fine. If it fits your experiences, great. The problem comes when we want to impose that belief on others and say that this is the way reality is, this is what you have to believe, or you're wrong. Well, even science reaches a point where the mathematics needed to explain reality as we experience it, as you go deeper down the rabbit hole, so to speak, you end up with 11 dimensions that are folded into one another, and space-time warps, and multiple realities, and it becomes just as magical as saying that there's invisible unicorns on the moon. You can't prove it. You have to twist your notion of reality in order to get your mind around it. So science and religion can lead to the same place. We don't know. We'll never know for sure the entirety of reality. So live the life that makes sense to you, and don't look down on other people who think differently, because they could be just as right as you are for themselves. That little tidbit is for you. Have a great day.